What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the show. I'm Sebastian Volkov, the god of horror, and following our cultural little escapades we're doing right now, we're delving once again into India. And today there's a little folklore story that a few movies and even an episode of a TV show have been based off of. A little something called Stree. For those of you like myself who consider themselves horror fanatics, you watch, read, and play everything, including goofy offshoots of serious horror. Well, with the story of Stree, take for instance, I did watch the movie, and it was a comedy horror, I suppose you would call it. But what's the real story behind the classics? I mean, we all know that there's almost always some truth to horror stories, even if the real horror comes from the invention and popularization of some recent urban myth or creepypasta story that someone's written, and, well, Stree is no different. Its actual origin is similar, but even more compelling. Naleba, the Bridal Ghost of Bangalore, where it all began in the 1990s. At the time, there were around 5 million people living in and around the city of Bangalore. And during this time, a big urban expansion was occurring. As many stories of hauntings go, when a building undergoes renovation, scary shit happens. Spirits don't tend to like changes to their environment, so when an entire area undergoes a massive change, well, you should probably get ready to experience very strange or even very scary occurrences. And Bangalore was no different. Stories began to spread like wildfire, although the stories vary, from a woman in tattered rags with messy hair knocking on the door to your house in the middle of the night, either begging for change or food, calling out to you with her voice disguised as the voice of a loved one, either way seeking a way to enter your home with the intention of whisking away the men of the house or to kill those within. She didn't seem to be very picky. It could be the only son of the family, or even just the working man of the family. The only guy bringing in any money. It didn't really matter to her that much. She was not so much of a murderer in most stories, in most cases, but a ghostly kidnapper looking for a man to take care of her with no regards to the family he may already have. There were even more stories that she would roam the streets looking for men that were walking alone to claim as her own. She was pretty desperate. As the story grew, the people of Bangalore began to write Naleba on the outer walls of their homes, which translates to "come tomorrow." And it was said that a supposed witch or ghost would read the phrase and leave, only to return another day. Doing so not only gave the people a means to protect themselves, but it also gave this entity a name. This seemed to put people's minds at ease, and eventually people either grew tired of doing this little ritual of theirs, or just stopped believing in general, and stopped altogether. And the witch, ghost, whatever she was, left the people alone once more. But there's always a resurgence. Every now and then, every so many years, she comes back. The stories get bigger, she gets badder, and it starts all over again. And that is the story of Stree Naleba. Like most cases of urban myths, popularity of a story comes and goes over time, as does Naleba, which begs the question, do monsters make the myths, Or do the myths create monsters?